The modern American dream has devolved into a 30-year financial trap, where the average buyer signs their life away to a bank for a house wrapped in synthetic plastics and toxic insulation. Meanwhile, the Amish routinely build massive, structurally superior hardwood homes for $5,000 out of pocket, completely decoupling from the commercial real estate matrix. A standard mortgage officer sits behind a desk, reciting the numbers. The average American homebuyer signs for $250,000 at 4.5% interest, fixed over 30 years. This is not just a loan. It is a life sentence of arithmetic. The monthly payment, $1,267, seems manageable at first glance. But the contract is engineered so that, by the time the final check is written, the buyer has paid nearly $444,000 in total, almost double the original price. Of that, $194,000 is pure interest, siphoned directly to the lender. The house itself does not grow, improve, or multiply. The only thing compounding is the bank's profit. The amortization schedule is a machine designed to extract maximum yield. In the first decade, most payments barely dent the principal. Nearly 2/3 of every check evaporates as interest. The principal shrinks at a glacial pace. For the first 5 years, the homeowner pays over $67,000, yet the loan balance drops by less than $30,000. This is not a path to ownership. It is a treadmill that enriches the lender with every step. The system is indifferent to the buyer's future. A missed payment triggers late fees, penalties, and the threat of foreclosure. Private mortgage insurance adds another $100 to $200 per month if the down payment is under 20%. Origination fees, points, and mandatory escrow accounts add thousands more before the first brick is laid. The buyer is not just paying for a house. They are underwriting an entire chain of financial intermediaries, each taking a cut. The bank's leverage is absolute. The mortgage contract is written in favor of the lender, protected by law and backed by the threat of eviction. The buyer is responsible for taxes, insurance, and all repairs, yet holds none of the power. The interest clock never stops. Over 30 years, the cost of borrowing nearly equals the cost of building. Compound interest is the silent partner in every home, invisible but relentless. This is the architecture of modern housing finance, a supply chain of debt, fees, and markups that transform a $250,000 house into a nearly $444,000 obligation. The numbers are not abstract. They are the reason millions remain trapped in a cycle of payments, unable to build wealth, forced to accept whatever terms the market dictates. The house becomes less a home, more a financial product, engineered to deliver steady returns to the bank, not security to the owner. On a cold spring morning, Hans stands beside his portable sawmill, a silhouette against stacks of rough-cut oak. He's not just a craftsman, he is the bottleneck and the bypass for the entire material economy of an Amish house. The sawmill itself is a capital outlay, $8,000 to $12,000 for a new diesel-powered unit, often purchased second-hand or shared among families. This single machine, run off-grid, turns standing timber into dimensional lumber at a fraction of the retail price. Hans runs the numbers with the precision of an accountant. Fuel is the first variable. A 100-horsepower diesel engine burns through about $19 in fuel per hour at current prices. Output is steady, between 150 and 250 board feet per hour for hardwoods like oak and hickory, and more for pine. Over a 10-hour day, that is up to 2,000 board feet of lumber, enough to frame the shell of a small house. The math is simple, $1.15 per board foot when milled on site, all costs in. Compare that to $2.40 to $3 per board foot at the local lumber yard, where markups stack from mill to distributor to retailer, and the difference is not just margin, it is survival. Routine maintenance is built into the rhythm of the operation. Oil and filters every 200 hours, blades sharpened or replaced after every few thousand feet of hardwood. The annual maintenance budget, $650 to $850, barely dents the overall economics. The sawmill itself is depreciated over 10 to 15 years, but that depreciation is spread across dozens of builds, not just one. For Hans, the sawmill is not a sunk cost. It is a tool of liberation from the retail supply chain. Throughput depends on skill and weather. Amish apprentices learn to grade logs, adjust the carriage, and read the grain by eye. Safety is paramount, with ear protection, blade guards, and a strict lockout protocol. But the real efficiency comes from the logistics. Logs are felled, hauled, and milled within a few miles, eliminating transport fees and storage costs. Air drying racks, simple timber sheds, allow lumber to season for months with negligible overhead. When a house is ready to rise, the beams are already on hand, cut to length, and waiting for the frolic. Hans's operation is the economic backbone of the Amish building model. Every board foot milled on-site is $1 not paid to a bank, a distributor, or a corporate lumber yard. The cost advantage is not theoretical. It is measured in cash saved, debt avoided, and homes built without a penny of interest. In the hands of the community, the sawmill is more than a machine. It is a supply chain, a balance sheet, and a statement of independence from the financial machinery that defines the modern housing market. A single line item dominates every conventional construction budget: labor. In the world outside the Amish, it is a non-negotiable expense. 1,200 hours of skilled work, billed at $30 per hour or more, yielding a labor line of $36,000 before a wall even stands. For the Amish, this number simply vanishes. The mechanism is the frolic, a system that converts what would be a crushing financial burden into a ledger of mutual obligation. The organizer, often a senior carpenter or church deacon, coordinates the schedule and assigns roles by expertise. Framers, roofers, and finish carpenters arrive at dawn, each bringing their own hand tools. There is no payroll, no time clock, no contract. Instead, every hour worked is a deposit in the community's invisible bank of reciprocity. The scale is precise. A typical house raising draws 30 to 40 men, each contributing a full day. Over the course of the project, the total labor input reaches 1,200 hours, identical to what a modern general contractor would log for a 2,000 square foot build. In a conventional scenario, this equates to $36,000 at the going rate. In the Amish model, the cash outlay is zero. The only cost is the opportunity cost. Farm chores delayed, shop work deferred, but the value is preserved in the social contract. The effect is not theoretical. Every hour that would have been billed is absorbed by the network. The wage line disappears from the budget, replaced by a record in the community ledger. No interest accrues, no debt is owed. The owner of the new house will repay the favor, not in dollars, but in labor at the next frolic. This is not charity, it is a closed-loop system engineered to keep capital circulating within the district. The economic impact is immediate. The $36,000 labor premium that props up the modern housing market is erased. The house stands, but the bank never enters the equation. A handwritten ledger sits open on the treasurer's table, its columns a rare glimpse into the arithmetic that governs an Amish house build. No mortgage statements, no bank transfers, just a running tally of cash outlays for what cannot be sourced, milled, or crafted within the district. The numbers are precise, the categories few. Roofing stands as the largest single line, $2,000 for corrugated metal panels, ordered in bulk through a supplier who knows the community's aversion to credit. Payment is made in person, cash only, with receipts clipped to the ledger, a paper trail that never leaves the room. Windows follow. $1,000 for double-pane units, delivered by a local glazier who accepts the district's pooled funds. Amish homes do not indulge in architectural glass or custom sashes. Every window is standardized, minimizing waste and negotiation. Fasteners, wooden pegs for the frame, and galvanized nails for the roof cost $300. The treasurer records each hardware purchase with a note on quantity and vendor, ensuring no surplus is lost to pilferage or misallocation. Transport costs are strictly accounted. $500 covers diesel for moving metal, glass, and tools from supplier to site. No third-party haulers are used. The community's own trucks, maintained by volunteer mechanics, handle every delivery. Permits, where required, add $200. These are paid at the county clerk's office in cash with a stamped receipt pasted into the ledger. The line is non-negotiable, and the amount is never allowed to balloon through legal or consulting fees. Tools represent the final significant outlay: $1,000 for saw blades, chisels, and replacement parts, all purchased as a group order to secure the lowest price. The treasurer's ledger reflects not only the sum, but the sequence. No purchase is made without consensus, and every disbursement is verified by 2 signatories. Privacy is paramount. Names are coded, addresses are omitted, and the ledger is stored in a locked cabinet. Attestation is possible, but only with the community's explicit consent. The result is an auditable, line-by-line record of every dollar spent, a cash economy insulated from interest, fees, and the inflationary creep that defines the outside world. The total, rarely exceeding $5,000, is not a myth or a marketing ploy, but a documented, reproducible outcome, secured by the mechanics of mutual trust and relentless cost discipline. A new line item appears on every conventional building estimate: utility contractors. Before a modern house can be occupied, a small army of specialists arrives: electricians, plumbers, HVAC installers, each billing by the hour, each demanding their cut. The price is non-negotiable. Hookup fees for electricity, water, and sewer routinely reach $15,000 before the first light turns on or the first tap runs. These are sunk costs, paid to monopolies that control the grid. The homeowner has no leverage. In most counties, connection is mandatory, and refusal means no occupancy permit. The outlay is immediate, but the payback is slow, 8 to 10 years if it comes at all. Every dollar spent on contractors disappears into the system, never to return. Amish builders bypass this entire cost pillar. No contractor trucks, no trenching for power lines, no monthly bills. Off-grid living is not a trend, but a default. Lighting comes from pneumatic gas lamps, propane piped through simple copper lines, ignited by hand. Heating is supplied by wood stoves, fueled with timber felled from the same land that yields the house frame. Water is drawn from private wells, drilled and maintained by the community. Waste is managed by composting toilets or simple septic fields, installed without outside labor. Each system is modular, repairable, and immune to price shocks in utility markets. The financial impact is surgical. Eliminating utility contractors saves $15,000 at the outset, money that never enters the debt cycle. Over a decade, the absence of monthly utility bills compounds the savings. The typical payback period for these off-grid systems falls between 8 and 10 years, after which the homeowner's expense line drops to zero. There is no service contract, no rate hike, no threat of disconnection. The infrastructure is owned outright, maintained by hand, and designed to last for generations. In the Amish model, the utility bill is not just reduced, it ceases to exist. This is not austerity, it is financial engineering by subtraction, stripping away every intermediary that stands between the builder and the built environment. Oriented strand board, fiberglass bats, and engineered trusses dominate the modern construction site. Each is a product of industrial chemistry, pressed, glued, and layered with synthetic resins and petroleum binders. The supply chain for these materials is global, opaque, and costly. OSB panels, for example, are manufactured from wood chips soaked in urea formaldehyde, then pressed under heat to form sheets that emit volatile organic compounds for years. Fiberglass insulation, a staple of suburban walls, is spun from molten glass and coated with phenol-based adhesives. These compounds are not just line items, they are liabilities, both to the budget and to the air inside the home. Amish builders reject this entire category of material. Their walls are framed from solid oak, hickory, or pine, harvested within a day's journey and milled on site. The core of the structure is a heavy timber skeleton, assembled with mortise and tenon joints, rectangular sockets cut into beams, matched to corresponding tenons, and locked in place with hand-carved wooden pegs. No glue, no metal fasteners, no synthetic adhesive. Every connection is mechanical, not chemical, and every joint is designed to distribute load across the grain of the wood. This approach eliminates the risk of joint creep, delamination, or off-gassing that plagues OSB and engineered studs. The health benefits are quantifiable. Laboratory tests show that air-dried hardwood emits less than 0.005 parts per million formaldehyde, 90% lower than the emissions from new OSB panels. There are no volatile organic compounds, no phenolic fumes, no slow bleed of chemicals into the breathing space. Instead, the house breathes with its environment, its walls free from the synthetic envelope that traps moisture and accelerates rot in modern builds. The material choice is not just a matter of purity, it is a question of longevity. Pegged timber frames, joined without glue or nails, have survived for centuries, their joints tightening with time as the wood seasons. The same cannot be said for houses built from composite panels and stapled insulation. Where the modern home is built to a 30-year replacement cycle, the Amish house is engineered for generational endurance. The difference is not cosmetic. It is structural, economic, and biological. In the Amish model, every decision about material is a decision about the future, measured in decades, not in warranty periods or code cycles. A timber frame house built by Amish hands is not a disposable product. The numbers bear it out. Structural surveys in Pennsylvania and Ohio show that mortise and tenon joinery, locked with hand-carved pegs, fails at a rate 30% lower than the nailed joints found in suburban stick-frame homes. Historic timber houses still stand after more than 120 years, their frames tight, their loads distributed deep into the heartwood. The generational promise is not folklore. It's a function of heavy timber, slow air drying, and joinery that resists both rot and mechanical creep. Where the modern house is engineered for a 30-year replacement cycle, Amish construction is measured in durability and centuries. But durability alone does not grant immunity from the regulatory world. A rural planner, speaking over a stack of code books, lays out the reality. Amish homes, when brought under municipal jurisdiction, whether for insurance, resale, or code enforcement, face a line-by-line audit. The process is exhaustive, with structural calculations for timber joints not recognized in standard code tables, energy equivalency analyses for walls without fiberglass or foam, and fire safety certification for wooden exteriors. The price of this audit is not trivial. In the Mid-Atlantic region, a full code compliance review for a hand-built timber frame house averages $55,000 to $60,000. This is not a penalty for poor construction. It is the cost of translating pre-industrial craftsmanship into the language of modern regulation. For those expecting a $5,000 outlay to unlock a mortgage-free future, the audit is a hard constraint. The house itself may last for generations, but the legal right to occupy or resell it is mediated by a bureaucracy that prices compliance at more than 10 times the original cash cost. The audit does not erase the structural advantage. Joint failure rates and lifespan statistics remain unmatched. But the process does set a ceiling on how far the Amish model can be exported beyond its rural context. The promise is real, but it is bounded by the realities of code and policy. The generational asset survives, but only if the regulatory ledger is cleared. Today, the average American home is an engineered debt instrument, optimized for profit, not permanence. Amish construction rejects markups, interest, and synthetic lifespans, collapsing the supply chain into a closed loop of raw material and labor. As mortgage rates climb and housing scarcity deepens, the real question is this: are we trapped by physical limits, or just by the systems we choose to obey? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.